So I'd like to take a moment and talk about 3 types of resources within counseling. The most important foundational piece is going to be making sure that ourselves or the client has physical and material needs met. And so when we're meeting our basic psychological needs, we're looking at making sure we have comfort and stability. Those are things like housing, adequate access to employment, ability to have food sources as needed. And this ensures that the client has basic needs met before we can move to different types of emotional resourcing, which is the third type. And it's the idea that a client can resource themselves when engaged in emotional pendulation to an emotion that's positive, such as joy or safety. Yet, when we look at transpersonal psychology and counseling, we have access points to use spiritual and elemental resourcing. And so transpersonal resourcing is our ability to build an internal garden, one that we can enter into whenever the outer world feels imbalanced, combobulated, dysfunctional. We have this home within ourselves to where we can retreat. And when we cultivate this garden, what can begin to transpire is we start to notice the places where we have overgrown weeds, aspects of our identity that we haven't been tending to. Perhaps we have a whole garden of jealousy growing and it's spiky and it's rough and it's cutting. When we sit inside ourselves and start to look at some of these outcroppings of plants, even an emotion like anger, we see that if it goes undealt with, then it starts to harm ourselves from the inside out. And often the emotion of anger is very much connected to our imbalance and our inability to listen to what our own body needs. So we get anger. And I have people walk through activity. I'm going to walk you through right now. So I'll invite you to take a few breaths. Go ahead and allow yourself a really big inhale and a full breath out. Go ahead and wiggle your toes in your shoes, or maybe you got bare feet or socks. Just notice. And then notice the position of your pelvis. Are you leaning forward or back? Are your shoulders scrunched up towards the ears, or can you soften them? Maybe soften the belly a little bit or the jaw. And then take 2 more breaths as my voice goes to the background and how deeply you breathe comes to the foreground. Next, I'll invite you to imagine somewhere in nature that is beyond beautiful, pristine, maybe even waters and waterfalls and rainbows that are untouched by humans. Or perhaps it's cold snow on mountain peaks, fresh air. And I'll invite you to open up your 5 senses. Notice any sounds in your environment. Maybe the sounds of traffic or cars humming by. Notice any colors behind your eyelid. And even notice the temperature of your skin, the tip of your nose. You might even sense into any taste at the mouth, like tea or coffee. And then as you sit in your own heart, notice what emerges from your own inner garden. And from this place, this inner gaze, we start to build our own inner traditions that, if we choose, can involve spiritual resourcing. So for the purpose of this activity, I'll just invite you to notice one elemental resource that comes in for you. It might be water. It might be fire. It might be air and breath. It could even be metals or precious stones like turquoise that exist in earth. It could be wood, or it could be soil, earth herself. And then just take 3 breaths and breathe that element into noticing. That's you. That is you. You are comprised of stardust. You are comprised of basic building blocks that make up the natural world and make up your physicality. According to NASA, nuclear fusion under intense pressure over millions of years is, interestingly, what created many of the elements found in the human body. 99% of the human body consists of 6 elements. That's wild. Your oxygen, carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, calcium, phosphorus. And these chemicals are also produced in stars. This cosmic inheritance lives not only in ourselves, but also our ability for transformation when we take time to sit inside of self. Notice our ancestral capacity for support and resourcing, as well as the natural capacity for all living ecology and life that we connect with. I'd like to offer up a practice for anger. As a fire element, I can get really passionate. And when that passion is out of balance, it can turn to anger. And there are times to have righteous anger at injustice in the world, displacement of people, lack of basic human rights. That emotion is appropriate. However, if that emotion isn't expressed appropriately, then it can cause harm physically, being in that state in your body, and even harm to others. So the practice I'd like to invite in is working with volcanoes. So if you're interested, I'll invite you to take a few breaths just to get in your body. Allow yourself a really big, juicy breath in, and an audible, full breath out, just letting the breath get long. And go ahead and give yourself 2 more, just like that. Inhale, you fill up. Exhale, the body settles, sinks, you hear your breath out. This time on your next breath in, go ahead and focus on the center of your body, your belly button. Take a really big inhale, and on the exhale, imagine you can have a cord going down, down, down from your belly button all the way down through the floor, into the earth, into the very molten, fiery part of the earth. And I'll invite you to take a breath, scanning the body and noticing anywhere where you're holding tension, anger, unnecessary stress. And with each inhale, notice that part of the body, its color, its texture. And then send that excess energy down, 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 down to that fiery, molten core of the earth. And allow the process to continue with each breath in, just welcoming, pulling in the emotion of anger, irritability, rage, injustice, and sending it down to become compostable energy. And you can take as long as you need in this visualization of releasing down to the core any discharge, any transference you are done with. And when that feels complete, if it feels complete, on your next inhale, go ahead and just visualize the cord rolling all the way up, up, up. Give yourself a few breaths now to notice the anger and see if you can listen to its message. Knowing each emotion is a gift, each emotion is a teacher, and neurologically speaking, it's an action potential. It's asking you to move away from a stimuli or move towards. It's asking you to take an action, but the question is, can you take that action from a place of compassion, love, and neutrality? What I'm about to say is going to blow your mind. Yourself includes the ego, the personal unconsciousness, the persona, the collective unconsciousness, and the shadow. That's all wrapped into you. So you in transpersonal psychology includes all of your ancestors that's come before you. It includes access points to all of the archetypes in the natural world. It also includes society's shadow. And when we look at the definition of a shadow psychologically, it's anything that we reject. So if you're looking to work with light, you have to work with shadow because they are the same sides of a singular coin that is you. So if you're interested in making big, impactful change in the natural world, in your life, in other people's lives, start with the shadow. Notice where you reject things, where you judge them, where you have an inner critic or you're harsh, and work to pull those things to the surface and love them. And by love, I simply mean respect, compassion, and softness. I hope you enjoy the view of the self from transpersonal psychology.